Hey guys, what's going on? So today I'm here with a few duels using my Cybderdark deck that I showed you guys last week for the Edison format. Now, this deck is definitely just a fun deck. I said that in last week's profile. It's basically just there to resolve Magical Merchant, mill a bunch of cards, get advantage off that. Whether you mill stuff like Jinzo and Jinzo Returner to get that out easily, Machine of Fortress, you have stuff like El Tannen that can take advantage of a loaded graveyard. And obviously with the Cyberdark Impact and Overload Fusion, which unfortunately we don't see in these replays, but Overload Fusion resolving for multiple machines and a Chimeric Fortress or a Chimeric Overdragon is very good as well, just because it can get huge. And ideally, you're going to have like a black salvo in hand to combine with any power play that you'd have, whether it be Cyberdark Impact or Overload Fusion. Because obviously any back row is just going to stop that. It's very glass ceiling-y, but you do have stuff, like I said, with milling Jinzo and Jinzo Returner to make sure that they can't interrupt a black row's play. And at that point, if you get that, the only thing that can really stop you is going to be a Battle Fader, because Overdragon's going to be big enough where you're going to punch them and it's not going to matter that they have a Trag or a Gorse. But that's an ideal setup for this deck, with like a magical merchant and a black salvo in hand, and then milling enough to make a power play. As you guys are gonna see, that's not normally how these duels go. Realistically, you're gonna just win a lot of duels with this deck using cards like Machine of Fortress and Jinzo. The Cyber Darks, as much as I do love them and they are the mascots of the deck, are kind of irrelevant. They're more so an engine for Black Salvo than anything else. Cyberdark Impact does resolve, and it's fun to bring out Cyber Dark Dragons at a huge attack. Unfortunately, the biggest dragon that we do have main deck wise in this time period is Rainbow Dark Dragon, and Rainbow Dragon. But Rainbow Dark Dragon is the ideal one that you want to play because you have stuff like Armageddon Knight to dump it. But for the most part, the deck's just going to be played with straight up Machinas. Fortress is a powerhouse this format, literally one of the best cards in it. When I started the format, I didn't think that it was, but the more I play, the more I realize Fortress is by itself can just sometimes win games, and then you back it up with stuff like Jinzo, and you're gonna have a really easy time because the format is so trap reliant. The way that you win games in this deck is you got to attack them very quickly and early on. You can't really be afraid of back row because if they have it, they have it. If both your decks get going, then obviously your opponent's going to have a higher ceiling than Oonga Boonga Big Monster. So you really just need to attack as soon as possible. And luckily, like I said, the Machinas are good for that. El Tannen can get up there. He can clear boards. You play stuff like the Plague Spreader, just to make sure that you have power plays with synchros. You guys are going to see that in this replay. But luckily, the deck is very aggressive, but it has ways to protect itself, like I said, with the Jinzo. And the format is trap heavy enough where Jinzo alone can just be a powerhouse. You guys see this here. Like, I have two monsters on board, and the rest of my hand is pretty much shit. But these two cards are just powerful enough to pretty much secure a win on its own. It does help that I was going against aliens in this replay, but you take what you can get when you're playing a tier non-existent deck like Cyberdarks. But yeah, I just prefer this over like the Hunter Dragon build because it's just more fun to me. I'm not gonna make everything that I try to build the tier one contender that I'm gonna take to a tournament. Sometimes I just like to have fun with the format. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoyed the duel video, and peace.